Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and the crown. We end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 100. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write at Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to be off next week, that's the 28th, and then we'll have 2 weeks on September 4th and the 11th, which is your birthday.
Yeah.
And then, so your birthday's on a Saturday. And then we'll be off the last 2 weeks in September, the 18th and the 25th, because of the Met Gala and the Emmys. We've been talking about that.
Yeah. So this is our last podcast of August.
Yeah. What the hell? And it's also our 100th episode.
Yay!
Put like a party sound in. I'll get a free party sound and stick it in here. So we've been doing this since January 15th, 2019. I Googled how many weeks it's been. It's been 135 weeks. So we've had podcasts 74% of the time.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
We were doing a lot of podcasts last year. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, because we were bored stuck at home.
And there was a lot of royal gossip.
There was. Oh, it was crazy with finding freedom and everything. And that's all coming back around, too.
Yeah.
And the baby and all that, which was the beginning of this year, but still. All right, let's talk about the royals then, if you want to just move into that.
Yep, okay.
So Prince Andrew is at Balmoral, and we only know about that because it was in the press, but we don't have any pictures. And the Daily Beast is reporting that the Queen's lawyers have sent out letters to outlets warning them against taking or publishing pictures of the royal family or their guests at Balmoral the same day that Andrew arrived there.
Right. The Queen arrived a week earlier than Andrew, and they only sent the letters out. Like, they're more like notices to media outlets saying, don't photograph anyone on the Balmoral estate, but it was timed specifically for Andrew's arrival.
And Andrew's, the FBI wants to talk to Andrew, but he's never leaving the UK because he knows his ass would be questioned.
Right. And there's like some question about whether or not he could be served with the lawsuit papers if he was on a royal...
I would love to see him get served.
Yeah, on a royal estate. Could a process server, or whatever the British equivalent of a process server is, could they enter the Balmoral estate or Windsor estate to like serve Andrew? I don't think they could, but
if it's like a embassy or not, like how
yeah
what the laws are. Like its own. Yeah, it's not part of the UK or whatever.
I don't think it works like that though. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So this is pretty interesting because, it really validates what the Sussexes were saying in their Oprah interview, which is that they were eviscerated in the press and the royal family didn't lift a finger even after they told them how it was affecting them.
Right. And I think that this Andrew story, it's so much more complicated than just simply the Queen is throwing up a shield to protect her favorite son.
Yeah.
The Queen's aides, her helpers, her executive staff, they're all trying to protect the Queen from herself. They know how bad it looks, that she is still so chummy with Andrew, that if she had her way, they would be riding to church in the back of a Bentley every day. Part of it is just trying to protect the crown and protect the Queen from bad press, because no one is telling her that actually you look like an asshole if you continue to protect Andrew so much.
And she's her favorite son. And she's just going to keep on acting like nothing's wrong. And she probably doesn't want to hear about the lawsuit or the stories of what her son has done. And she probably has heard them and pushed them out of her mind and just done everything as usual.
Yeah, one story that always stuck with me from the whole debacle of Andrew's BBC interview was that apparently the Queen did ask him how it went, like the day after the interview happened or something like that. And he said, it went really well. And that was it. That was all she asked. That's all she wanted to know. And she only asked him. And no one, I guess, would tell her that actually the interview went really poorly.
It was a huge mistake. Yeah. Yeah, so she's like, jolly good and carry on or whatever. Thank you. She doesn't want to know if it's bad. So this week, the Sussexes issued a statement on their Archwell site. They actually had two. One was signed from the two of them, and the other was signed from their team. And their statement was personal and emotional. And that's how they talk and write. And they talked about the Afghanistan withdrawal and how poorly that's going. I mean, they just said there's layers of pain due to the situation in Afghanistan. They talked about the crisis in Haiti and the pandemic. And they talked about how they felt about it and that they're scared.
Yeah, I put the quote in here.
Yeah.
There's like an important word that a lot of the British reporters, they picked apart. So they said, the world is exceptionally fragile right now as we all feel the many layers of pain due to the situation in Afghanistan. We are left speechless. As we watch the growing humanitarian disaster in Haiti and the threat of it worsening after last weekend's earthquake, we are left heartbroken. Now, we are left speechless. That's what all the British reporters were like, I wish they were speechless.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
I can't believe that they said they were speechless and then they continue to talk. That's like the argument that like Piers Morgan thinks that is a great argument. I can't believe they're speaking if they said they were speechless.
That's directly referring to Afghanistan, where Harry fought. If you read it in context, they're saying we're speechless about Afghanistan, we're heartbroken about Haiti, we're scared about the pandemic. It was a very clear progression in what they were saying. It wasn't, we are left speechless about all this and we're not going to talk about it. Just, we're not going to comment on Afghanistan. But yeah.
I mean, the way that these people pick apart the Sussexes over this kind of picayune bullshit. Was their statement like perfect? Was it the most like presidential or royal statement ever? No, that wasn't what the purpose of it was. It was just, here, we're saying something, we're trying to be compassionate, and here's where you can donate. If you feel as helpless as us, here's what you can do, so we just don't sit here feeling helpless.
They gave links to the charities they're working with, who are all addressing the specific issues that they brought up. And that was the World Central Kitchen, Vax Live, and Global Citizen. And they were being really human and talking about how deeply they felt these things.
Right.
And that's who they are.
Yeah, and combined with Harry's statement with the Invictus Games, I think that Harry especially has been on the phone with a lot of his veteran buddies, many of whom are veterans of Afghanistan.
And they lost their friends.
Right.
A lot of his friends were disabled that he knows. And like, how has that got to feel when you spend years or weeks or whatever of your life fighting for something to watch it all go away almost immediately when the U.S. withdraws? That's got to be really hard to
process,
to deal with. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about Angela Levin and what she said, but she's just an asshole. And they're nitpicking and taking out of context the things that Harry and Meghan are saying. And it's very similar to the issue with the baby's name. Like, they do something nice, they're trying to be nice, they state it very plainly and nicely, and these people go bonkers.
Yeah, you always say that maybe they're trying to land something softly. I do think that at this point, Harry and Meghan know that whatever they do and say is just going to be ripped apart. And everyone's going to go crazy. They could just make the most mild statement of, it's sunny today. How dare you? How dare you enjoy the sun? Don't you know that some people have skin cancer? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's some gaslighting shit that they get constantly.
The interesting thing about Angela Levin's comments were that she accused them of like donating to charity themselves and like, we don't know where this money is going. They're providing links to known charities so that people can donate. They're driving people away from the Archwell site so that people can donate to charity and it's not going to be filtered through Harry and Meghan. Unlike the Cambridges.
Yeah. Yes, they have that umbrella organization. And there was some sketchy stuff, I think, that Harry and Meghan did not reveal about where the Cambridges wanted money that was going to go to Harry and Meghan's charities to go through theirs.
Right. And the most bonkers thing about the Royal Foundation, which is the Cambridges Foundation, is that they made all of their ongoing patronages join up with this Heads Together scheme And so all the money that used to go to all these individual charities was now coming into the Royal Foundation, and then allegedly Will and Kate would start parceling the money out to their charities.
Or the people who work for them. And,
right.
You would have to trust those people.
It was just this absolutely ridiculous scheme. And charities were losing money.
A couple did close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and who knows how that happened, but it's very questionable. And I'm trying to be diplomatic. So Harry and Meghan are also on the cover of People magazine this week. They don't have a new interview with them. It's just an older photo, and it's an interview with Finding Freedom author Omid Scobie. There's a new epilogue to the book. It's coming out in paperback August 31st. And, Omid is talking up the Sussexes because that's what he does. And he said that they're entering an era of visibility, that they're in a healthier place, and that they're thriving, which is true. I mean, we see that. They look happier. They look like they're doing great.
Yeah, I mean, and we've barely seen them anyway.
Yeah, and when we have, they've been great. And they said they were going to go on 5 months paternity leave. You mentioned that in a recent story. It reminded me. So Lily was born at June 4th, so they should be off till November. But they've done a ton of stuff. They're still doing stuff. We had the video with Meghan. We've had statements from them. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. And I mean, I always figured that would happen anyway. Even when they said, oh, we're taking parental leave, we knew that they were going to do various things during their leave. It was just meant like they weren't going to work full time throughout their maternity leave and paternity leave.
Yeah.
And I think we also just sort of got a sense that they were going to start launching things in the fall. I do think September, October, we're going to get some product launches. We're going to get some announcements involved with like the podcast or Netflix or something.
Netflix movies, yeah. The little animated thing that Meghan is doing too. And Harry has a documentary.
And like, you thought I was crazy because I mentioned this, but it reminded me a little bit of Kim Kardashian because I remember, no, I'm just going to say it. So
okay. All right.
Kim Kardashian, when she went on her first like maternity leave when she was pregnant with North, she came out of her maternity leave with like 10 new projects because she kept thinking of like all this cool stuff that she wanted to do while she was pregnant and, while she was nursing the baby. She just started to put together all this little stuff while she was having her downtime.
Yeah. I launched this blog.
Yeah. Like good ideas happen when you give women appropriate time off.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's going to be the same with Meghan and Harry. They will have so enjoyed this time spent together as a family, even during the pandemic and, with their 2 children. And they're just going to come out and be so refreshed and so ready to like put all of these ideas into action.
They also hired new people.
Yeah.
For Archwell and for, I think, their production company.
They've been making hires all year.
Yeah. So in the epilogue to Finding Freedom, there's a section about how Harry and Meghan allegedly felt about the royal response to the Oprah interview, like the statement that the royals put out. And that part of Finding Freedom reads, the Queen's, quote, recollections may vary comment did not go unnoticed by the couple, who, a close source said, were not surprised that full ownership was not taken. Quote, months later and little accountability has been taken, a pal of Meghan added, quote, how can you move forward with that? That was it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty mild. It's a source, and everyone assumes, well, the source is Meghan, because Meghan knows Omid. But it's not that bad. They're just saying, they're not taking accountability, which is true.
Right. And the British reporters ran with, Harry and Meghan attack the Queen once again.
Yeah.
And I understand why Meghan and Harry would have their lawyers issue some sort of notice to the British tabloid saying, don't say that Harry and Meghan are saying this. This is an unnamed source saying this.
Yeah.
But it is critical of the Queen. I'm just going to say that because it was the Queen who issued the statement of recollections may vary. If you're going to say there's been little accountability and no ownership, that is about the Queen. It's also about Prince Charles. It's also about Prince William, but it's about the Queen too.
So we should tell people who are listening to the podcast and aren't familiar with all the stories that the Daily Beast is reporting that lawyers for the Sussexes have written to, quote, at least one major British newspaper saying that the claims are false and inaccurate. So
because the British newspapers were saying that Meghan and Harry said that directly, like that they were being quoted by Omid Scobie. And Scobie was just quoting a source.
Exactly. And then the Daily Beast said that there's thought to be like a slight falling out between Scobie and the Sussexes. I don't know if that's true. I just think it's the way the British press is twisting his words, and the Sussexes are trying to put the kibosh on that, you know?
Right. And I also just think that the British media has been gleeful at the idea that they could drive a wedge between Scobie and the Sussexes. Because obviously Scobie has been the reporter who has given Harry and Meghan the benefit of the doubt. He's gotten more access than the other reporters have gotten.
And he's a great writer and a great advocate, too.
Right. I mean, it's not his role to be advocate, but I think just being fair to Harry and Meghan makes him seem like an advocate.
Yeah. He tweeted about that. You put this in the post. Back at this rodeo, and predictably, words are being twisted again. The comments made by a source, and he put that in all quotes, a detail some outlets have purposefully ignored, were about a lack of ownership from the royal institution as a whole. There is no attack against the Queen anywhere in the book.
And again, it was an attack on the Queen, but it was attack from a source. And it was...
I don't think it was an attack, Chandra. It's saying that there's no accountability. How is that an attack when it's just saying what the facts are?
That is. That's exactly the point. The facts are not on the Queen's side. And the start of the quote is, the Queen's recollections may vary, comment, did not go unnoticed by the couple. It was about that statement.
Yeah, but I don't think it's an attack either, though. I think it's just like shady a little bit.
Yeah,
not bad.
Well, yeah, attack is probably the wrong word, but it is directly critical of something regarding the Queen and her public statement.
I would have a lot harsher words for that.
Exactly. And that reminds me of when the Queen withdrew all of their patronages and they issued that statement, services universal. And people were like, that's an attack on the Queen. It wasn't. Like, it was just saying a statement of fact, but it also is critical to the Queen's whatever. She issued the statement first, and they were like, nope, service is universal.
And they keep showing that because they're doing the most.
Right. And that's something else that was really interesting about the Sussexes issuing a statement about Afghanistan and Haiti and all, because the royals had not been doing that. The Windsors had not.
They didn't issue a statement about the Black Lives Matter movement.
but that was quote unquote political. An earthquake in Haiti.
Political.
An earthquake in Haiti, you can't have Clarence House and Prince Charles and Prince William issue statements saying our hearts are with Haiti.
Or just a tweet.
Right. That's all it would take.
All right, let's talk about The Crown. So we got the first photos from season 5 of The Crown, and I logged into the Netflix press site. I'm so grateful they gave us access to that. And those are the only 3 photos there are. I'm sure we would have seen more beforehand, but we have Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana, and she's like laying down on a couch. And
she looks so much like Diana. It was
she does.
Eerie.
She really does. Dominic West as Prince Charles. We'll get into that in a minute. And Imelda Staunton as Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the other cast. So Jonathan Pryce is playing Prince Philip.
Ooh.
And Natascha I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I have it.
Okay.
Her name is Natascha McElhone.
McElhone is playing Penny Brayburn, who is Philip's mistress, longtime mistress.
Penny Knatchbull or Brayburn, yes.
And then my boo, my love, Jonny Lee Miller is going to play John Major, the prime minister during the 90s, during this tumultuous early and mid 90s era. And I honestly think that's a great casting choice.
Okay.
If you put glasses on Jonny Lee Miller, give him a good hairpiece, he's going to look a lot like John Major. And I'm just excited that he's going to be part of this really big TV show. I think that's going to be awesome.
It's cool that he's going to be on that. And it's coming out next year. They haven't set a date for it yet. They're probably still working on it.
And he's very liberal. I mean, not crazy liberal, but he's pretty liberal. And to play a Tory and a Tory with secrets, sexy secrets.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. So yeah, you wrote about how The Crown is going to feature Prince Philip's relationship with Penny. What's her maiden name? Knatchbull or Penny?
Knatchbull or Braeburn. They refer to her as either in the press. So
okay,
I don't know which one she goes by.
You knew about her before I did. Like I had heard that he had a mistress, but I didn't know much about her. But then when she was going to go to the funeral, and in the lead up to the funeral, there was a lot of press about her, and we talked about her on the podcast. She's 32 years younger than Prince Philip. She was with him for decades until his death, and she lived with him at Wood Farm.
Okay, so Prince Philip had a lot of mistresses. I don't think that Penny was his only mistress during the 90s. I think she was a favorite, and they were, in addition to probably sleeping with each other constantly, they were genuinely good friends. And I think Penny is very much of their class. That's why she's very acceptable, you know, that he could spend time with her out in public and no one would really say much about it.
Oh, okay.
And she's very close to the Queen as well. That's the kind of arrangement that they had. Yeah.
We had pictures of all three of them together, too.
Right. Penny would often accompany both of them to events.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the kind of thing that Charles kind of wanted for Diana and Camilla. He wanted Camilla to just be his acknowledged mistress and for her and Diana to get along. That's what these people do. That's what they're like.
Why did he hate Fergie? Because she was, what's that word, gauche?
Gauche.
Because she was gauche?
Why did Philip hate Fergie?
Yeah.
I mean, she was just awful. I mean, she is awful. Like, he didn't appreciate how gross she was.
Yeah, she was
out in the open having affairs, selling access to herself and Andrew.
Yeah, she got caught on tape.
You know, going with the richest guy available, not being a great mother, and on and on. Like, she was just tacky, and he hated her.
Okay. So we talked about this casting on Zoom. I wrote in the chat that Dominic West, he's too meaty in the face to look like Charles. And that's what Susan was responding to.
But Dominic West playing Prince Charles, no. I mean, he's too good looking to play Charles.
I'm going to have to look up.
He's a cheater, and that works, but yeah.
Like, Dominic West is Prince Charles. Like, it's a very generous casting, but, like, from a distance, yes. John Major and Johnny Lee Miller. No, I have to go Google. John Major.
He's too meaty in the face. Yes, that's perfect. I have to agree with that.
I've got the actress that's playing Diana. I forgot what her name was.
Elizabeth Debicki. She looks like her from the photo they showed.
Yeah.
With like Diana's more like 90s close cut thing, but Charles. The casting director was just looking at all the pap photos of Dominic and Lily James in Rome. It was like perfect.
He doesn't have to do much research. He's perfect.
I'm just distracted looking at pictures of John Major and Johnny Lee Miller. I can kind of sort of see it. Like, they'll just stick a wig on him. I can see them kind of pulling it off. And to be fair, I'm just glad that I don't have to listen to Gillian Anderson's accent because it was a bit belaboured.
She sounded like she was having an asthma attack the whole time.
Yeah. Dominic West just doesn't look like Charles at all. I don't see it.
I don't think he's an attractive man, but I don't think he looks like Charles. A lot of people think he's good looking.
I mean, he's got a certain charisma. I understand why he's good on screen. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
He's watchable. I wouldn't necessarily call him good looking.
That makes sense.
But he looks absolutely nothing like Charles. And giving him a funky little hairpiece with like hair curling up behind his ears, that doesn't make him Charles.
He got the pose down with like his hand in his pocket and the other one down. But so Sarah was saying that it was annoying listening to Gillian Anderson. And that's probably because Sarah's British and she can hear the difference in the accent. And Amber didn't like it either. I liked Gillian Anderson as Margaret Thatcher, but I know a lot of people thought that she was overacting.
Yeah, It went scene by scene for me. There were some scenes where I was like, oh, wow, she's really nailing this Thatcher character. And other scenes where it was just so hammy and over the top. You could just tell it was Gillian Anderson in a bad wig.
Yeah. I thought she was good and I found her watchable, but I get that. I get that criticism.
But Anderson and Josh O'Connor, they did the best body work, I think, for their
Josh
character.
O'Connor, yeah.
You know, Josh just captured Charles's entire body language, the slumped shoulders, the way he walked, the way he would carry his hands. Gillian did that too with Thatcher. The slumped posture, the way she leaned to one side.
Emma Corrin too. I mean, they really nailed that character. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my post on the story, my post. All right, I gotta redo this because I wrote that wrong. All right. So my comment is on the story about how Terry Crews says that he showers 3 times a day, but then he tried to kind of both sides it because he always panders to the other side by saying you don't need to shower if you don't sweat. He didn't want to come down too hard on the side of white people are dirty, I guess.
Yeah, I actually understood what he was trying to say. In context, it made a bit more sense. He was just saying you don't have to shower as much as I do if you aren't sweating and working out like I am. It just came out as you don't have to. Yeah, it just came,
He always both sides it.
Yeah.
What did he say? He doesn't believe in black power. What did he say before?
Oh, he said that if we start saying Black Lives Matter, then suddenly it will be Black Lives Better, and we can't have that.
It makes zero sense. So Duchess L wrote, "The only person I know who doesn't sweat is Prince Andrew."
All right, my comment of the week. I've written 2 stories this week about Stefanos Tsitsipas, who's a Greek tennis player. He's number 3 in the world. He's 23 years old, and he's a complete dumbass.
Yeah, he really is. He's hot but dumb.
Yeah. The worst part is that he thinks he's brilliant. He thinks he's this edgy philosopher. So anyway, he's been saying a lot of just terrible shit about vaccines and how no one young needs to get vaccinated and we should all get COVID so we'll have natural immunity and all this just dumb shit.
So dumb.
And commenter Sandy wrote, so good looking and yet so stupid. I see he likes essential oils too. He can just use those to protect himself against COVID.
So many people believe that.
Yeah.
So dumb. A friend of mine, another person other than the one I last told you about, got breakthrough COVID, and her husband got it too. They were both vaccinated. Her husband had to go to the hospital. He's doing better now. But it can make people sick even when they're vaccinated.
Right.
The reason why it's at that level is because of people like this douche.
Yeah, and obviously all of this is his fault. He's the one with dumb opinions. But I just don't understand why the tennis tour hasn't mandated it.
They should.
These players are going to be in America probably for the next 6 weeks or so. Just line them up and just jab them. All of these fucking kids.
Make them, tell them if they don't have proof of vaccine that they're going to go off the tour.
Right.
They get tested for drugs. They should get tested to make sure that they have had the vaccine.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.
We've been doing some fast ones.
Yeah, it's good for me, and then I get done and I can do stuff. Thursdays are my long day.